Rironi-Mau Summit is a must-do now because the population moving in that corridor, that road from Rironi, which is a 3-lane corridor from Nairobi to Rironi. You know, we have 3 lanes on either side. It's a 6-lane road with 3 lanes on either side. And when you get to Rironi, you can overtake a lorry between Rironi all the way to Nakuru. And because of the traffic and the snarl of the population of vehicles as far outstrips the capacity of the road. And therefore, because of the capacity of vehicles, there is appetite by private sector to build that road under PPP, and we are comfortable as government because we think the tariff will be fairly easy because of the population of vehicles. What have we done? We basically getting back the road from the initial concessionaire, Vinci and Meridian, the JV company which they had, and seeking to very quickly get any other concessionaire to be able to put their money as an investment on that road. As to whether we'll do what you call closed toll or open toll is one thing that we are going to decide very quickly so that there will be opportunity for Kenyans who do not wish to pay to have a lane outside the tolled road and therefore give option to Kenyans. But certainly you do know that sometimes, depending on how fast you can move, it can be cheaper to move quickly because you're not spending time on traffic and you are going fast on a well-maintained road. So yes, we are very eager to start that road, and you'll probably see us in the next 2-3 months with a contractor breaking the ground on this road. So yes, we are cognizant of the need to complete this piece of infrastructure very quickly because it gives Kenya opportunity to continue taking advantage of the northern corridor, which is basically leveraging or exploiting and employing more of Mombasa Port, which then gives us job opportunities, but more importantly, services the landlocked countries, Uganda, Rwanda, and DRC. We've been meeting as the Ministry of Roads and Transport, meeting with the Senate Committee on Road, Transport, and Housing to basically look at areas of collaboration and cooperation in a retreat that was set up a while ago so that we could basically look at the various policies, look at the various legislative frameworks to support those policies, and what we need to do better to operationalize the programs like the one you have asked the SGR to complete the 2B, 2C, which is basically Naivasha, Kisumu, Malaba. I think a lot of work has been done on the routing of this railway line. We've been updating and looking at the project affected persons in the corridor. We are looking at the financing agreements to more look at how we can build the railway as an investment as opposed to building it on government balance sheet. But that's not to say government will not participate in the structure of the funding, but to be able to support the fiscal headroom challenge, that should go more into the other social investments in education, in water, in health, and the more social investments. We should be able to get investors coming in and putting their money to be able to leverage on the opportunity. Tolling policy, we've just gone through public participation, and we are going through the due process to really, and in the tolling policy, we are identifying new roads that can be tolled. And of course, like I said, for a road to be tolled and for an investor to put in their money, they need to be able to get a return on investment because they are not investing it on social. So they look at traffic volumes, then they price it. If the traffic is very low, the price becomes a bit expensive. That means that road may not qualify for tolling. Because if you build a road and there are only 2 vehicles per day, you will never repay get return on your money or repay the loan. So we'll be looking at roads which have been newly improved, and that basically means a newly improved is we possibly dual a road, and therefore if we toll that road, we can get revenues to maintain, but more importantly, revenues to invest elsewhere in Kenya so that we can develop the whole country equitably. When we say we're doing it out of government, it's not on government balance sheet. The cost is not on government. You build it and you earn your money through as an investment. But what we do on a PPP, and PPP is an open book asset development where you develop an asset that it will eventually be owned by the government. But more importantly, because there are no 2 opportunities to develop 2 roads, we make sure that the tariff you levy on Kenyans is to give you a reasonable return on your investment. So as to whether it costs so much billions, it is really not coming out of exchequer. It's not coming out of our taxes. You build and you charge what we allow you to charge to get a reasonable return on investment is something like 10% on your equity. And therefore, we make sure that the customers or the road users are not overcharged, because the government do control the tariffing to make sure that there is value for money, and the contractor or the concessionaire, the investor, is not getting more than you would get in an ordinary long-term investment. And therefore, anything between 10 to 12% is a reasonable return, just like the way you would put money in the bank and get returns of 10% or 11%. But this one you are assured because you are putting it for a long term. NTSA is really working on employing technology, of course through our ministry, to see how we can control the number of accidents in our roads. And you'll hear us talk about ITS, Integrated Traffic Management System and Junction Improvement Program, which is putting cameras on the roads, at the junctions, to ensure that people don't unnecessarily beat traffic or enter a junction without stopping. And therefore, when you know you are being watched, people tend to be more careful. So there are so many initiatives to really reduce accidents, employing technology, employing cameras on our roads to ensure that we manage speed, technologies to improve the roadworthiness of the vehicles through kind of inviting inspectors or licensing inspectors to look to be able to look at our roadworthiness. And once those kind of roadworthy license companies are licensed in various towns, inspection of lorries, inspection of matatus, inspection of our vehicles becomes easy, because if you can inspect your vehicle within the small town you come from, suddenly you're not on the road because brakes have not been checked, and you get a proper sticker that a road has been inspected, and you don't have to go to the government inspection centers, which could be so far from. People don't fail to inspect their vehicles because they don't want to. It's because sometimes we are asking them to go to Nairobi, we are asking them to go to Kisumu to inspect their vehicles, and yet we could franchise inspection, have regulations for licensing inspectors, or so that we don't have to travel far distances to be able to check our vehicles.
But in our understanding or view is that those roads are built, especially those that are built by government, are built by taxes of taxes from Kenyans. So because they're built by taxes from Kenyans, it means that they have actually funded them both directly and indirectly. Then the commercial roads will be those roads that, whether improved or newly built, they are those that have attracted capital that has been invested by private sector or private sector in combination with the government in what we call PPP. And those, because they are commercial in the sense that an entity has invested in them, then it means that they must get return on those investments. But the argument that we've gotten from the ministry is certainly that those that have even been financed by government through our taxes still brings an opportunity for the ministry to be able to collect some form of reasonable tolling charges that can then allow the ministry to generally maintain those roads, but more importantly to be able to construct roads outside the jurisdictions of what I would call traffic flow of people who are using those roads that are in high densely populated networks. So because of that, it's something that we'll be able to converse on. I think it's a reasonable proposition from the ministry, in the sense that if you are to build some roads for other underserved communities, then it's either you raise that money through more taxes, or take loans that will take you time to pay, or build them in what we call phased manner or sequenced manner, that you want to take 20 years to build a road in a place like Turkana where those roads have not been there. So there is, this was the sense of this meeting, there is a nexus there that then we must look at, is this a rationale that can actually allow for some underdeveloped areas in the country who don't have the infrastructure for roads to be able to get roads. And I think they have gone through public participation, or the minister in charge, CS Chirchir, has promised this committee that they will be able to share with us the public participation that they had, and then we will see what Kenyans have been able to say. But initially we had reservations with regards to what could constitute a double taxation if you were to toll social roads. But rationale that has been shared is also a reasonable one that we'll be able to canvass once we get the public participation documents.
Good afternoon. My name is John King, the Center for Media Members.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. My name is Rironi-Nakuru, Deputy Director, Social Economic Committees.
With your permission, Chair, my name is Stephen Gekonyo, Principal Clerk Assistant, as well as Clerk to the Committee.
Good afternoon, Chair members. My name is Regina Munyao, Legal Counsel.
Submitted. Chair, as you also are a member of ODM party, and we know whose funeral we are missing to be here today, that we sacrificed to be here today, because this was a meeting that had been put together a while ago, and we decided to be here so that we could give audience to the CS and his team. And I think that
Good afternoon, Chairman and honorable members. My name is Duncan Nouda, Secretary of Transport, the State Department for Transport.
Certainly, we do have the CS now. We are adjourned in the morning because the CS wasn't here.
In the morning, when the Cabinet Secretary decided he was going to where he was going, I think it's something that was planned and organized. And if it was not organized in the morning, it was only courteous, Bona CS, for you to write, not the material day when you're traveling, to tell us to wait, to come here, and you had gotten a letter that you'll be having this retreat. In fact, let me not say you had said, we had sat with you and we agreed, and you chose this.
Him to pray for us.
AJ Chwala for the answer.